my trip to Lebanon, New Hampshire was more than just fun. It was enlightening. Because if you've ever wanted to know everything about making apple cider, orchard owner Stephen Wood is the perfect teacher.
What made you want to get into apple growing?
I've been working here since 1965. I worked here when I was a kid, but my parents were involved in it. I went off to college. I went off and did a bunch of things. There was a day when I was working here in the late 70s, and it suddenly struck me that the reason I kept coming back to do a little bit more here, it was that this isn't a temporary infatuation. It's actually what I do.
Yeah.
I'm one of the very lucky people who figured out a long time ago what I do. It's what I do. So I grew up doing it. I reckoned that it was just, I was going to go into academia or law or something. Dude, I'm an apple grower. So
you figured it out, and here we are.
And as I say, it is a little bit like it's inescapable.
The beauty and pleasure of this destination is also inescapable. This spot is an ideal place for local families, tourists, or anyone looking to roam the rows of the orchards and forget about real life for a little bit of the day. In fact, one of the coolest parts of this commercial business is that you can roam the gorgeous orchards and pick from the trees fresh, ripe, delectable apples of all kinds. Unique varieties with different shapes, colors, and textures.
I mean, it just doesn't get any fresher than this.
You can also enter the tent and taste the wonderful ciders right here on site.
Oh, that's good. That's really yummy.
But before this gets to the yummy stage, the cider goes through a unique and rigorous tasting process by the staff. No wine snobbery here. It's fast, furious, and fun.
I'm just excited to be a part of this.
Here's how it works. Imagine word associations using your nose and tongue. In round one, we smell. And each one of us gives our instant thoughts, immediately.
Fruits are there.
Yeah, ripe fruit.
Yeah. Apricot, pear,
Raisin. Honey.
It's creative, chaotic, and part of a process that they have created here to elevate their one-of-a-kind cider to another level.
Okay, so can you walk me through the absolutely incredible experience we just had inside the tasting? Because that was like entering into another world where there was a different language. Sure. There was so much going on. It was so quick and fast-paced. Can you kind of break it down for me?
Most people who make wine or cider or whatever conduct some sort of sensory analysis, which is smelling, tasting. That's pretty much all there is to it. And there are a lot of different approaches to it. We just realized very early on that just noticing that something was smelling pretty good, but saying, well, let's figure out how to make it better, wasn't telling us anything.
Yeah.
It smells great, let's make it more great. It doesn't work. And so actually smelling and tasting is essentially subjective. We had to make it objective so that we could talk to each other about what we were trying to do and about causality and, in fact, all the things. Where did that come from? All the stuff. If we were going to actually try to, in any deliberate way, put together some cool ciders. But in the tasting thing, we just sort of stumbled forward. And a few of us took a class in the UK, cider tasting. And so we had some exposure to it all, but we also had exposure, as most people do, to that horrifying dinner party where there's a bottle of wine there, and the person who plopped the bottle of wine wants to talk about the wine, and the wine itself is saying, hey, I'm your wine, we'll be talking about me. All the stuff you heard in there, we don't want people talking about that stuff when they're sitting and drinking a glass of our cider.
Okay.
First thing we want to hear out of their mouth is not about the peaches and the apricots. It's, oh my goodness, that bottle's empty, should we get another one? Right? So this is an effort to deliver pleasure, but to do it in a way where we actually have some sense of what we're doing. And so what we do is we smell the stuff, I call that the nose. The deal is you rely on your own sensory experience, so you say what you smell.
Okay.
Which is, and every person here knows more about what they smell than they think. You know, I mean, I can tell my dog from another dog without my eyes. And you can tell your sweetie pie from another guy without your eyes, and it goes way back into your memory. If you went onto a street you played in when you were a kid and it smelled just the same way and you were blindfolded, you know exactly where you are. Do you know what your grandmother's dress smelled like?
Yeah.
All that stuff is there. It's just, and so it's really a question of just trying to bring it back and then say it and just be objective about what you're tasting. We'll run everybody through this exercise.
Really?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's not, we're not looking for somebody who's trained in wine tasting. We're looking for regular people who are interested in using their noses and mouths. So we smell it, then we taste it, and then we think about a fairly simple thing, which is the feel, which has to do with the fullness of the thing, really like viscosity, and astringency, which is the drying effect of it. And then the finish, that's again a wine term, but it's basically what happens when you're done.
Yeah.
I think that's the hardest thing with cider, is to just make it sort of slide out happily.
Because sometimes you get a sip of cider and either your mouth gets really dry, or it's like a little tart,
or you get like trickly sweet or something. I don't think you should sell somebody a glass of something to drink and make them wish they had a glass of water or a glass of milk after they finish.